Russia. A country that we all know as one of the biggest superpowers. Russia is also known because it has a vast amount of land, which makes it the biggest country in the world. The country is so big that 11% of the Earth's land area belongs to the Russians. They were even bigger in previous centuries, however, some past issues made them think about reshaping the map of the country. The situation was so grieved that Russia had to sell the entire state of Alaska, only for $7.2 million, whereas the current GDP of Alaska is $50 billion. On October 18, 1867, Russia sold Alaska to the United States, despite the rich soil that contained billions of dollars of resources. The question is, why did Russia sell Alaska to the United States? To understand that, we have to begin the story from more than 1 or 2 centuries back to understand the incidents like the Crimean War, the financial crisis, and the political concerns of Russia. Stay with this video till the end to know one of the biggest historic and geopolitical move made by Russia and the United States. It takes us back to the mid-time of the 19th century. Russia was thinking about protecting the Christians in the Ottoman Empire because of the reign of Muslim rulers. Although they made it seem like they are interested in saving the Ottoman Christians, their actual focus was grasping more lands of Asia and Europe. Bulgaria, Romania, and Moldova used to be in the Ottoman Empire during that time. In July 1853, Russia invaded some parts of the Ottoman Empire to take control over more lands, and also for protecting the Christian population of that place. The Ottoman Empire, which was based in Turkey, got very ferocious because of this Russian invasion. They declared war against the Russians, but the power of the Ottomans was significantly less compared to Russian soldiers. They knew that it will be hard for them to cope with the Russians if they fight alone. On the other side, Britain and France were aware that if Russia gets the Ottoman Empire, they will invade the Middle East as well. Britain and France allied with the Ottoman Empire to stop the Russian invasion. The Allied force crippled the invasion in 1854, but the war lasted for a couple of years after that. Eventually, Russia had to abort its mission of taking control over more lands. They signed the Treaty of Paris as a consequence of the war, committing that Russia will protect the integrity of the Ottoman Empire. It did not cost the Allied force so much, but Russia faced another new problem. The expense of war was a great financial burden for the Russians. As they could not win the Crimean War, chances of having the Ottoman wealth and land went in vain with the defeat. The economy of Russia was undergoing a very fragile condition. During the time of 1858, the financial crisis after the Crimean War became more heavy on them when they failed to pay the debts properly in time. The debts were mostly taken between the time of the Crimean War. Although defeat in that was not the only reason behind the financial crisis of Russia during that time. The Russian economic crisis was caused by 3 other crucial reasons. These are the decline in agricultural production, decline in the export of products, and the weak tax system of Russia. During the 1850s, Russia was largely dependent on their agriculture. The country used to export agricultural products to different countries, and it was one of the biggest sources of their revenue. The decline in agriculture, firstly, created a deficiency of food in the entire Russia. Besides, the poor harvest of crops made it impossible for Russia to export food products to other countries. And Russia could not continue generating revenue, and they even failed to pay the debts. The tax system of Russia was so weak in the 1850s that the general people were making tax fraud, and a large amount of black money started to get stored by the Russian citizens. The government failed to collect the tax revenue as well, and the economic crisis of Russia knew no bounds. During that moment, Russia needed to collect money by any means possible to develop its economy and revamp it from the crisis. Here, one thing would surprise you. In the 19th century, the scenario was quite opposite, compared to the current time. Then, Russia's biggest enemy was the British Empire. On the other hand, Russia's biggest ally was America because of mutual hatred towards the British Empire. Russia was in need of financial help, and they also wanted to get rid of the risk of British invasion on Alaska. Politically, it was the safest option for Russia, because selling Alaska could solve two of their crucial problems. One was the economic crisis, and the other was the risk from Britain. Besides, geographically Alaska was far away from Russia, and it was very tough for them to control the region. And the Americans were already their ally, so the ultimate decision of Russia was to sell Alaska. The first problem was, because of the American Civil War of mid-19th century, Russia wasn't able to make a deal with the USA because of that. However, the war was over in a few years, and Russia sent a team, including some scientists and experts, to Alaska. Their goal was to examine the soil and its value for natural resources and agriculture. The experts suggested that the land is worth $10 million, but most of the experts suggested that Russia should not sell Alaska to anyone. The deal was proposed in 1859. Abraham Lincoln was the American president then. But he was not ready to buy Alaska at this price. 6 years passed, and the negotiation was still running, but President Abraham Lincoln died on the 15th of April, 1865. Later, the deal came to the eyes of the next president, Andrew Johnson, and under his command, the U.S. Senate approved it in the year 1867. With that deal, Russia lost its control in a large area of the continent of North America. The Alaska Treaty was largely important for the Americans. It helped them to extract the gold mines and resources, and the country started to gain vast revenues from the mines and minerals. The seashore of Alaska was a big help for America in World War II, but that would take another video to cover the story. Till then, stay with us.